Out was the old.
In with the new. La. Today we have the brand new Yonex VCORE Sand Beige. This is the same VCORE we all know and love, the 7th generation, but in its new, refreshed colourway.
Yes, obviously this is the the core VCORE in its red and blue livery. First impressions, I think it's been improved.
Yes, I certainly think that it's a fresh look, it's a step up, a refreshment, an improvement, and I think one that will probably appeal to a wider audience.
Yes, so it's important at this point to mention the Racket hasn't changed in terms of its construction, in its style, the way it plays. It is purely a paint upgrade, call it if you
cosmetic.
A cosmetic upgrade. The Racket is still the spin-friendly, easy to use, delightful VCORE that we really like here at PH Tennis.
So I think I'm right in saying that the VCORE 98 was our #1 racket of 2023, the year it came out. And it's because whilst it's Yonex's spin frame and the racket way it generates the most spin of all the Yonex frames, it's also just a very good racket in terms of doing everything. Yeah. And it's the one that I always say, if you had 100 tennis players of varied abilities and styles, used all the rackets on the market and graded them all 1 to however many there are, on average score, I think the VCORE would come out on top. So as an average, I think it probably is the best racket actually available. Whether that's the 100 or the 98, I'd say probably the 100, but both excellent rackets.
The whole range is nice. This colour, this cosmetic is on the entire range?
I believe so. Yep. Whereas the E-Zone Aqua Night that came out earlier in the year was limited to the 100L 198 on this Sand Beige version of the VCORE with the pink accents. That is across a wider range, so more available.
Sorry to interrupt. Apparently, some people just listen to our videos. If you hear Sand Beige, you might be a bit surprised by how it actually ends up looking, because Sand Beige is not two colours that scream style and excitement and good looking, but it does look really, really nice.
I would describe it more as white and grey with
a hint of pink. Pearl?
Yeah, there is pearl, but again, colour's not really my thing. I'm not great at describing colour, so this is what it looks like. So if you can see it, great. Otherwise, listening to my description probably won't get you very far. What are you laughing at?
Colour's not my thing.
It's not. So we have been play testing this new VCORE Sand Beige, and whilst doing kind of refreshing ourselves on the VCORE range as a whole. So if you're thinking, God, this new cosmetic is beautiful, and I always fancy trying the VCORE, but the red was just too bold for me. I wanted something a bit more understated, a bit classier, and now you're thinking the VCORE could be for me, but is the actual racket for you, Ben?
It's not for me personally, but I'm very specific about what I like. What is great about the VCORE though is that there is something for everyone in every single racket. Let's start with the 100L, shall we, which is the 280 gram, 100 square inch version. For a light racket, it plays quite heavy. I think it feels like a heavier racket, which is a very difficult line to tread, and does say something about the build quality of Yonex rackets.
Yeah, it certainly feels like all Yonex rackets. It feels solid, it feels proper. Yeah. The stability is good. Yes, if someone hits the ball very hard, even very flat, you don't have that mass behind it, so it's not ideal, but compare that to other 280, 285 gram rackets, it's probably the best of that bunch. Yeah. Obviously the 100 square inch head and 1619 string pattern gives you some access to spin, and obviously the shape of the racket and how it's put together also designed to help generate spin as well. So to be honest, and this is probably a more general point for the VCOREs for us playing here on Astro courts, topspin, not the greatest necessity.
No.
To play tennis here. It tends to be a bit of a flatter game with some spin, but no sort of heavy spin required. So maybe not the VCORE's preferred surface.
No, and if we just move on to the 100, which is essentially the same racket, just a little bit heavier, it's 300 gram, same string pattern, same head size, clues in the name. Again, it just doesn't quite feel like it's best environment, does it? It feels like a very, very nice racket that you wish you were using somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'm sure all of you watching in South America or the Mediterranean will be all over this, because it would be great on a clay court. But
yeah, slightly higher launch angle than 98, more spin, easier to kind of whip around.
Yeah. But as a spin racket, it's not very extreme. I think that's what I personally like about the VCOREs, is that you get those matrices, which have power versus control, and I think the VCORE would sit almost bang in the middle. It just feels like it could do anything and everything based on what you want to do with it.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were saying earlier. I think it's when we do our string tension tests and our string reviews, trying to work out our favourite strings side by side, we have a set of VCORE 100s for that very reason, that is that kind of does it all very well. So it's a great racket to use in that sense. So before we finish, the VCORE 98, sort of the more players version, 305 grams, 98 square inch head. The same spec as the new Extreme Pro.
Yes.
So that could be an interesting comparison to do, and obviously the Aero 98. So there is, it's in good company.
Yes, and we haven't tested it against those rackets, but just sort of based off of what we know and what we feel, I think it's going to do really, really well against those two, because again, it's just got that Yonex quality about it. It just feels comfortable, it feels in control. Quite often with the 98s, and when you go to a smaller head size and you go to a slightly heavier weight, you do sort of compromise on comfort and playability, and it just doesn't feel like that.
And also when you use your Sand Beige one, you'll feel a sense of serenity.
Well, yes, so there is flecks of pink, or pink accents, I think was the phrase.
Very nice.
Which is designed to make you feel safe and secure. And we have been wondering, based on colour theory.
When he says we, it's all him.
So, for those of you who don't know,
I'm not hippy dippy like him.
Colour theory is essentially what brands use and fashion labels use to determine how people are going to feel. So black is associated with trust, blue is associated with calm, red with anger, exactly what you'd expect. So maybe when you are using a different coloured racket, that's what you're noticing. Maybe that's the difference in playability between colours. So these two rackets, whilst exactly the same, at a very deep subconscious level, this is telling your brain something different to that.
So if you're a racket thrower, a screamer, smack the ball over the fence in rage and use a VCORE, maybe you should definitely invest in the more serene, the calmer, the more secure, the more relaxed version in the Sand Beige or Pearl.
And before I get eviscerated in the comments, I am not saying I necessarily agree.
No, you are. No.
With colour theory.
He said that like he knew it, so let's all
I understand the concept. Whether it applies to tennis rackets, I'm not so sure.
Okay.
I think maybe it's just, is there an element to a newer racket that's going to feel different to an old one?
Yes, I think probably, but yeah, but in general, I guess it looks better. If it also makes you feel calmer, that's a tick in the box. We may be pushing it.
Yeah, I think, well, the other thing is, if you've had one of these red VCOREs, one of the originals, you may have restrung it 20, I don't know, maybe not 20 times in 2 years. You may have strung it at least a dozen times in the last 2 years. You've used it, you struck loads of balls, it will be different. Rackets do age.
Soften.
They do soften. They do undergo stresses when playing. If you switch to a brand new one, it may well feel different. So maybe it's that you're feeling. So it's either colour theory, it's racket age and stress, or it's all in your head.
Or maybe it is just actually the paint is slightly different thickness, moves through the air slightly different speed, and changes. Who knows? Who knows? We certainly don't, and we're not going to pretend that we do.
Well, and did you notice a difference?
No.
Neither of us did.
So who's it for? Well, as we're going through, the VCORE has got a racket in its range for almost everybody. If you're a current VCORE user and you want to freshen up your bag, your range, have a new special one, then Sand Beige, personally, I think I'd go for it. Add it in as a second or third racket in my bag.
For special occasions.
For special occasions, weddings and things where white is required.
Yeah.
So there you have it, the new VCORE 7th generation Sand Beige, out 23rd of August, available anywhere in the UK. So if you are interested in purchasing, please let us know. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you subscribed, cheers. If you haven't, please do. And we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you very much for watching.